Hi, my name is Jason McKenna and welcome back to the VEX Classroom, where today it's my pleasure to talk to you about virtual skills, and specifically virtual skills for this year's VEX IQ challenge. We were really excited to be able to launch this with this year's VEX IQ game, and we're really excited to see what you're going to be able to do with this and how this can help you with your coding, how this can help you prepare for this year's game, and how you can use this with what you're going to do with this year's game. So you can see I have some helpful links here on the board. First of all, vrskills.vex.com. This is kind of like our getting started page. So if you don't know anything about VR skills, or you want someone else to get started with this is a great link to share with them. And I'm going to show it to you here in a moment. Here is where you will actually use to code the VEX IQ Challenge virtual skills, codeiq.vex.com. We've also done one for V5. You can see the URL there. And then education.vex.com. We have a lot of resources that we've built, both with the lessons that are currently at education.vex.com and also with our knowledge base. And I'll show those off. I'll show all those off to you here momentarily. So let me go ahead and go to my computer. And here you can see the landing pages I mentioned to you a moment ago of vrskills.vex.com. And you can see the first step that you're going to want to do in order to play the VIQC challenge is to register your team for this upcoming season. So that's the first step, is you have a new team that you can register for this upcoming year. Then once you do that, you'll be able to get a virtual skills key. Okay, so what does it actually mean? So let me go ahead and open this link up. And this takes you to a knowledge base article that talks about accessing the VIQC virtual skills key in VEX Code IQ. So as you can see here, this takes you through robot events. You would log into robot events. You would go into your account. Okay. After you go into your account, you would go and you would select My Teams. And now with your teams, you'll see there you have a virtual skills key, okay? Now, if you don't have a virtual skills key there, that means that your team is not registered for this year. So you can see here we have a link that would show you to go how to renew your team registration. Then with codeiq.vex.com, which I'm going to show you here in a moment, you would select this virtual skills window up here in the icon. This screen's going to come up to you right now. And all you have to do now is enter your team number and then go ahead and enter your virtual skills key. After you do that, now you'll actually be able to begin coding. So that's what I have open right now in the next tab. You can see here, up here in the URL, that's codeiq.vex.com. I'm going to go ahead and collapse the blocks. And I'm just going to make my code a little bit bigger so you can see it. Okay, and you can see here I have this year's game with this year's herobot fling over here in my window. So I've already inputted my virtual skills key and my team number, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead and run this example project right now. What this example project is going to do is it's going to score 2 balls into the high goal area. So let me go ahead and expand the size of my virtual window. I'm going to go and I'm going to select play. And you're going to see here, I'm going to intake a ball. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to catapult the ball into the high goal. Okay. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to retrieve another ball. You can see the project being highlighted over here. I'm now going to go and intake that ball and I'm going to launch the catapult from over there in the corner. So what you can see, what we're doing here is with this year's herobot has this really nice catapult on it. So what we're doing is we're utilizing this catapult in virtual skills to be able to show how you can intake the ball and then launch the ball into the high goal area so that you could score points. So you can see right now I've scored 12 points. I'm going to go ahead and stop my project. Notice here that you can submit a score as grayed out. That aspect's going to be coming a little bit later, okay? But you can go ahead and retry it again. So I can just close this window out. I can reset my board. So if I want to go ahead and retry it, I can do that. Let me change the camera angle and run this project again for you. So now I have a slightly different camera angle that'll show you intaking and launching the ball a little bit better. There we go. Catapult will collapse down. Then I'm going to go to the other ball. You can see my team numbers on the license plate there. So when you do this, your team number will also be on your virtual robot. You can see the timer up here for virtual skills counting down. Really nice information that we have there. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that now. I'm going to walk you through a couple different aspects of the virtual game itself. I can choose different starting points for my game. So if I go back to my top-down view and I hit this icon right here, you can see if I wanted to start at starting point A, I could do that, and now my robot's going to start there, okay? If I wanted to start at a different starting point, if I wanted to go back to starting point F, it's very easy for me to do that there, okay? Different camera angles I had showed you a minute ago. This information right here, if I select the gear icon, this actually gives me information about the computer. We also have a knowledge-based article that walks you through the minimum computer specs that you'll need in order to be able to run virtual skills. I'd really encourage you to take a look at that. But if you do have any issues or any problems with virtual skills, please use the feedback button, because when you use the feedback button, all of this diagnostic information that I'm showing you right here, the average frames per second, the screen resolution, we're able to get all that information so we're able to see if there are any problems, and we can help troubleshoot those problems here. So please use the feedback button up here in the upper right-hand corner if you do have any problems or any issues with virtual skills. Okay, now we do have some other example projects in virtual skills to help you get started. So if I go to the File menu, and I go to Open Examples, you can see that there are different example projects: scoring in a high goal, scoring a low goal, hanging your robot, so that at the end of the game, and if you want to be able to hang your robot, we show you the behavior for that. So we have all different types of things that you can use really to help you once again get ready for coding and getting ready for this year's game. I showed you the knowledge base a moment ago. We have lots of different articles. We added a new section, as you can see here, for VIQC virtual skills. Lots of different things in here that you can utilize to help you get started with virtual skills. So I showed you about accessing virtual skills. I talked about this article, the minimum computer requirements that you would need. Now, we worked really hard to make sure that you can use this on a Chromebook and all kinds of different devices. Really, the main thing here is you have to use a Chrome web browser when accessing virtual skills. But you can see that you can use it on a lot of different devices. You don't need an expensive high-end device in order to be able to run virtual skills. Virtual skills overview. So we have an article that talks about the hero robot fling here. So understand the robot features. We have an article that talks about all that information in there. It talks about the drivetrain, the catapult arm that I showed you a moment ago, adjusting the tension of the catapult arm. This is a really interesting one because on the actual physical robot itself, you would want to add or take away rubber bands here to adjust the tension of the catapult arm. So it's more of an engineering challenge. We obviously can't add or remove rubber bands with the virtual robot, so we create a block that will allow you to adjust tension when you're doing that. So lots of great information in this article, okay? Loading and saving projects, and then teacher resources. That's a great segue into education.vex.com. And here is where you can find our VIQC virtual skills lessons. So as you see here, we have 5 different lessons. And really the purpose of this is to teach you all the different behaviors that you can use with this year's game. So pushing a ball into the low goal area. We just showed you how to use the catapult arm to put a ball into the high goal, how to make your robot hang off of one of the bars. These are all the different behaviors that we will actually show you how to do in the lessons. Now you can take those behaviors, now that you know them, and figure out what's the best way to combine them to try to get the highest possible score that you can. So really nice way that we've structured this for you to teach you the basic behaviors and then allow you to apply them. So I'm just going to select lesson 3 here to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. All the lessons are structured the same. We have an introduction, which has a video that shows you what your robot is actually going to be able to do after you learn the skills in the lesson. So as you see here, this one is going to launch a ball into the high goal area. Then we have this exploration section, okay? The exploration section, once again, shows you a video of what you're going to learn. Now, there's two videos that we have here. The first one in this video, this helps to break down the task. And what this video shows you how to do is all the individual behaviors that you're going to need to do in order to be able to do this task effectively. So you can see what I'm doing here is, first of all, I'm using my iPad just to identify what we're actually going to do. I'm essentially telestrating on the field what it is that we're having. We're going to collect this ball, then we're going to launch this ball into the high goal area, so on and so forth. And then over there in my engineering notebook, I'm starting to log the behavior. So using the engineering notebook is a big part of what we do in VEX competition. So giving you the opportunity and showing you how you can use the engineering notebook and logging this information down as you're using virtual skills is a really nice aspect of what we do there with the lessons themselves. So we go through and identify all the behaviors you can see here that you're going to need to be successful. And then after that, we show you the project. Here's a project here. It's also an example project like I showed you before. And then in the second video, what I'm now going to show you is that project running and actually walk through and explain it for you. So here's the project actually running. So I'll go through and explain what's going on there. That's what we have in the second video. Now that you understand all those behaviors and the code, now you can actually go do the mini challenge. So first, here's a video that shows you what is expected of you in the mini challenge, what you're actually going to learn to do. You're going to pick up a different ball and then launch that into the goal area. This then breaks the video down, gives you some links to the knowledge base for help, and talks about what it actually is. Now that you're done with that, now I have the opportunity to check your understanding questions. So if you're doing this in your classroom, this is a great way for you to do formative assessment with your students to make sure they really understand what it is that they did in that lesson. These are Google Docs, so if you want to make adjustments to them, if you want to add more questions to it or take it away, you can certainly go through and you can do that. Now, after the check your understanding questions, we have extension activities. Every lesson has a coding and a math extension activity. So the coding extension activity is just that. Go through and apply what you learned in coding now in a different context. And the math extension activity is really cool. It exposes you to some nice math concepts that you can use in order to learn more about how to operate your robot and then eventually get a higher score, okay? So this is talking about driving and turn velocity, how that impacts how your robot moves. You're gonna go through and change these parameters. Really nice math activities. So once again, if you're doing this in your classroom or if you're doing this with your robotics team, there's a lot of information here that you can go through and you can learn and do, okay? Now, in terms of everything that you're going to be doing with virtual skills, the virtual skills lessons, this knowledge base article is a really nice summary of everything right here. This goes through and talks about the format of the lessons, an overview, and this goes into each individual lesson and gives you an idea of what you're going to be taught and what you're going to learn in all the lessons inside this. This is a really nice summary of everything that we have there in the curriculum itself. Now, in addition to all of that, we also have the Teachers Portal. So in the Teachers Portal, there are two videos. This first video talks about the structure of the lessons that I just described a moment ago. So you can see here, we talk about the direct instruction and how it's formatted. Now, what's really key about the way we structure the lessons is that they're all student-facing. So a student can just go to education.vex.com and they can just follow along the lesson as it's constructed. You don't have to provide any of the direct instructions as a teacher. Instead, we provide that for you with the videos that I showed you a moment ago. What that does is that allows you either as a teacher, as a mentor, to now be a facilitator. It allows you to give your students feedback, tips, tricks, techniques, all things that they can do to be successful, whether it's in the classroom or an after-school club or activity, wherever it may be. So once again, we provide all the direct instruction for you. You don't have to worry about creating projects on your own or how to teach certain behaviors. We do that all for you with the videos. Now what you can do is you can focus on being a facilitator with your students. This also allows you to apply these skills and these lessons to many different formats. Because it's all student facing, if you want to run this in your after school club, you can do that. If you want to run this in the classroom and have the students just follow along the lessons, you can do that. If you're doing some type of hybrid learning where students are learning at home, they can obviously follow along here, and then you can be there in Zoom to be a facilitator and to monitor what's going on in chat. You have the ability to do all those different things, and I talk about that in that first video. The next video then goes through and says, okay, now that you know that you're going to be a facilitator, what does that actually mean? What are you going to be doing? And this video here goes through and it talks about that, how you can give that effective feedback, how you can help foster student self-efficacy, make them feel more confident about their coding, and really kind of bridge that understanding to where the students currently are to what we want them to know with the behaviors in coding with this year's game. I go through and talk about how you can do all of that in that video. Then below, we just have some more resources that you can utilize. How to get started. There's a great knowledge-based article that shows you how you can get started with VIQC virtual skills. So this is broken up. If you're a rookie team or a veteran team, you probably have different needs. So this article addresses both of those and addresses them both individually for those needs. Pacing guide, if you want to see how you can fit this in if you're using VEX Code VR, or if you want to see how you can fit this in if you're using STEM labs. All of that is included in there. Obviously, standards alignment is very important. We have the documents here that show you the standards alignment, but not only just show you the standards alignment, but show you how those standards are actually reached in these lessons. So we teach some really nice computer science with these lessons. All of that is shown here for you. The section of the knowledge base that I showed you, more facilitation support, and then also customizing resources. Finally, a letter home. So if you want to be able to communicate with parents that might be really excited about what their son or daughter is doing with virtual skills, this provides you with some more information about how you can get more involved with VEX competitions. So really nice letter home there. And then finally, you're looking to do more. Here, you can get started with the VR course. There's much more that you can do, and we have all of that located down there for you. So we're really excited to be able to share virtual skills. We really feel it's going to be a nice asset for both you and your teams to really not just become familiar with this year's game, but to help develop a game strategy to really help to enhance your coding skills. And so far, the feedback that we've received from people has been fantastic. I have one example of that feedback that I want to show you right now. This was emailed to me. This is a mentor. And you can see what he's saying here. It says, VR skills allow students who are more interested in coding to start planning, developing, and testing a strategy. Once their robot is operational, they can then rewrite their functions by replacing the mechanics of Moby with the mechanics of the team's robot. He's obviously referencing V5 here. This totally changes how I'm going to run the robotics club next year. So this really captures a great example of how you can use the VIQC skills with your robotics team to really enhance what it is that you're doing. Chris really captured it well there with his quote. Once again, he's talking about his VRC teams, but it obviously applies just as well to VEX IQ. But he really kind of capturing what we were trying to do when we thought about this game and we thought through the development process and providing it to you to once again really enhance what it is that you're doing with your team and what it is that you are doing in this year's competition. So thank you very much. Can't wait to see how you're going to use VIQC skills. Thank you.